Hi guys, sorry this took so long. We're going to try to do a little mini class. Go ahead and pause it at various points so that you can do what you need to do at home. You see I've got our list of things that we usually cover in class, and today we're going to start with vocabulary. Mom and Dad, you have spelling quiz attached to your email, so you can print that out if you want or not, totally up to you. And let's go ahead and move on. Kids, when we do this in class, we've got big cards and we're going to turn these over one at a time. I'm going to point to one and you pause it and see if you can guess what's on the other side. All right, we're going to start here with love, friendship. Do you know what's on the other side? It is philia. Words that contain philia are Philadelphia, philosopher, philanthropist, philologist, bibliophile, photophilia, technophilia. Did you guess one? All right, let's do the next one. I'm going to move here to measure. Pause it if you don't know what it is. All right, measure is metron. Words that contain metron are, did you guess one? All right. Let's move down here to put, place. Pause it if you don't know what it is. All right, let's turn it over. Thesis. Can you remember a word that has thesis in it? Let's look and see. Did you remember one? All right, next word, we're coming here to turning. Remember, like the earth turns, turning? What could that be? Pause it if you don't know. Here we go. Tropos. Can you remember a word that has tropos in it? Pause it if you can't. All right, here we go. Did you remember one? Let's do the next one. Far away. Pause it if you don't remember. Let's turn it over. Tella. All right, can you remember a word that has tella in it? Pause it. And did you remember one of these or a different one? All right, next one, with, together. Do you remember what means with, together? Pause it if you don't. Think hard. Turning it over now. Sin. Can you think of a word? Can you remember one that has sin in it? Did you remember one of these? Or did you remember a different one? We're almost done. We're doing light next. Light. Do you remember what word means light? Photos from our very first week. Do you remember photos? Tell me a word that has photos in it. I'm going to turn it over. Did you remember one of these? Okay. Next is write, draw. This is also from our first week. Pause it if you don't remember what's on the other side. And here we go. Graph. Did you remember? Graph. All right. What word has graph in it? Can you think of one? There's a whole bunch of them. Did you remember one of these or a different one? And the last one, fear. We had a lot of fun with this one in class. Do you remember what word means fear? Here we go. Did you say phobos? Now tell me a word that has phobos in it. Do you remember one? All right, I'm going to turn it over now. Did you guess one of these words? Now we're going to clean these up. And the new word for today, you're going to want to take out a 3x5 card that looks like this, or just a piece of paper or something else, or you can grab a 3x5 card from class next week. And our new word is kinesis. Kinesis. So what I'd like for you to do is write the word kinesis on the side that does not have any lines. And on the back, I'd like you to pause it and write some of these things down. Go ahead and pause it and write these things down. Okay, when you're done, you should have a card that looks like this. And on the back, if you're in 3rd grade or 4th grade, I want you to at least have a couple of these words written down. Always have the definition at the top. And if you're older or you really like to draw, then your card should look like this on the back, with the words and the definitions. All right, so our word today is kinesis, and it means movement. Now the one I want to focus on is this one down here, cinema. You might wonder how cinema comes from the word kinesis. And it comes from kinesis because Greeks used K, not C. So over here, all these obviously easily come from kinesis, but you see, if you made the C a K, it would say kinema. But a long time ago, when they made motion pictures, they had to decide what they wanted to call these motion pictures, and they decided to change the K to a C and call it cinema. And of course, the I makes the C say its soft sound S instead of K, so we call it cinema instead of kinema. Down here, cinematographer is using the word cinema from kinesis, and that is a motion picture photographer. So a kinescope is the original word for a TV, the machine that shows moving pictures. Isn't that interesting? So we've got kinetic, and you will have heard about that in science class last year with Mrs. Hotchkiss. Kinetic, that's the movement of things. Kinesiology, study of human movement. Kinescope, a machine showing moving pictures, a TV. Cinema, that's motion pictures. The Greeks used K, not C. Cinematographer, motion picture photographer. So there you go. And we are done now with our vocabulary. So if you already did your spelling quiz, then you can check that off. Vocab, we can check that off. Next, we're going to work on speaking. So today for speaking class, what I would have done is I would have had you kids work on this. You haven't seen this book before, but this is an old book, about 10 years older than I am, and they used to teach speaking skills in language arts class. And so today we would have worked on this, but I wouldn't have brought the book. I just would have presented it to you. But I'd like to read it to you. All right. So listening to messages. Debbie Schwartz was home alone when the phone rang. Debbie ran to the phone. Now, we don't have phones like that anymore, but you might find an opportunity when your mom's phone rings or somebody comes to the door or dad is getting ready to run out to Menards and he tells you to give a message to mom. So that's what this is about. It's listening to messages and giving messages. So that's what you're going to learn about today. Debbie Schwartz was home alone when the phone rang. Debbie ran to the phone. Hi, she said. Oh, this is Mr. Risher. Is this Debbie? Yes, said Debbie. Is your mother home, Debbie? Asked Mr. Risher. No, answered Debbie. Well, would you give her a message for me? Asked Mr. Risher. Sure, said Debbie. Ask her if I could borrow her large electric coffee pot. She'll know the one I mean. Okay, I'll tell her. Debbie hung up the phone. About an hour later, Debbie's mother came home. She put away the groceries. Then she gathered some things into a shopping bag and headed toward the door. I'll just be gone for a half hour, she told Debbie. The Rishers are giving a party tonight. I'm taking them some extra cups and saucers and spoons. Oh, Mr. Risher called and said that they need some coffee too, said Debbie. Coffee? How much? I don't know, but he said they had a large coffee pot. Electric, I think, answered Debbie. Well, I wish I'd known sooner, said Mrs. Schwartz. Never mind, I'll stop at the market on the way and buy some. All right, so were you listening well enough to see where the mistake was? Debbie told her mom the wrong message. So here are some things to discuss, Mom and Dad. If you'd like to do these things at home, you may. I'm going to go ahead and move along with my portion of the lesson now. So what I would like to stress with you kids today is how to take a message and how to give a message. So when somebody asks us to take a message for somebody, we need to actually take a message. And that means you got to write it down. Now, if you have a dry erase board, you can do that. If you have Post-it notes, you can use that too. But there's 3 pieces of information that you need when you take a message. And it's who it's to, who it's from, and what the actual message is. All right? So in this case, the message was to Mom. The message was from Mr. Risher. And the message was, do you remember what the message was? Pause the video and see if you remember. All right, the message was, he wants to borrow the large electric coffee pot. But remember, what Debbie told him is told her mom, is that Mr. Risher needed some coffee for his electric pot. That was wrong. So Debbie's mom showed up to the party with coffee. And what did Mr. Risher need? He needed a large coffee pot. So what I want you kids to do from now on, if somebody leaves you a message, I want you to write it down. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so I had to pause it for just a moment. Here's what I want you to do, all right? I want you guys to take a note for me, and the note is for Brandon, our class helper. Please tell Brandon I want to know what his favorite drive-through place is. All right, can you do that? Can you take a note like this on a Post-it note and give it to Brandon next week? Or can you take a note and on a piece of paper and give it to Brandon next week? I want to know what his favorite drive-through restaurant is. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. If you've done it, then it will look something like this. Remember what the 3 things are you need. Who is it to? It's to Brandon. Who's it from? Mrs. Waterman. And what's the message? What is your favorite drive-through restaurant? All right, Mom and Dad, remember, your kids can earn bonus stickers if they practice this at home. So this isn't really a speaking skill so much as it is a listening skill. They need to be able to listen, write something down, and make sure that they deliver it to the person. So if your kids are practicing any sort of giving messages, that would be great. We're going to do another one real quick. Let's pretend that Dad is going to Menards. All right, so Dad says to you, hey kiddo, tell your mom I'm going to Menards and that she has to text me if there's something that she needs me to pick up. All right, so now what are you going to do? How are you going to get that message to mom? Take out a piece of paper, pause the video, and try to do that. Okay, I paused mine too. So, did you write something down? Here's what I wrote down. Mom, that's who it's to. Dad is going to Menards. He says to text him if you need something. This gives mom the message and it tells her who it's from. All right, that's enough for speaking today. We're going to check mark that off of our list over here. For writing, we're going to work on a friendly letter. Now, last week we worked on a formal letter. The only major difference this time is up here. Okay, there's two major differences. First is that you've got your address up here in the top corner. And then in your letter, it's a little more friendly than the formal letter. Formal letter is to like a grown-up or to a business person or something like that. And when you're writing a friendly letter, you can write about whatever you want. This is to somebody that you're already on good talking terms with, and you might do this with a pen pal or with a friend that you've already got well established. So we're going to do it just like last week. We're going to find that middle part of our paper, and then we're going to write an address, your address up here. I'm not going to write my address. I'm going to write a different address. Your parents might know what this address is. 22B Baker Street, London, England. All right, so your address goes at the top, and then next comes the date. Today's date is October, and this has got a comma after the date. Today is October 13th. There's our comma, 2021. So you've got a comma between your city and your state, or in this case, it's between a city and a country, and you've got a comma between the number of the month and your date. This up here, do you remember what this is called? This is called your heading. All right, next comes the greeting. And we're going to write, Dear, who are we going to write this to? Let's do Dear John. All right. And then we indent right here. So we're going to go under the first letter of the person's name and just write a letter. In this case, I'm going to say, Hi. A lot has happened here. A lot has happened here. A lady in red stopped by. And I was scared by the howls of some hounds. Does anything scare you? Remember, it's good to ask a question to a friend. Does anything scare you? So this is kind of personal. And then we're going to sign it. Remember, down here in the middle, this part right here is called the body. Then we're going to look down here in the middle, and right over here we're going to put our closing. Do you remember that? The closing. And we're going to write your friend. And here comes another comma right there, comma. And then you have to sign your name. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm not Sherlock. Hold on. Mrs. Waterman. Did anybody guess I was pretending to do a Sherlock Holmes thing? All right. So here we go. This right here is the signature. There we go. So let's practice one with you guys. We're going to erase this one right here. And I want you to put your address at the top of a piece of paper and then write the date, October 13th, comma, 2021. And then dear, let's say friend. All right. And then write something else down here, like, let's say that we're writing to, I don't even know, dear friend. Yeah, let's talk about we had no school today. We had no school today. At HeartStrong. HeartStrong is capital H-E-A-R-T, no space, capital S-T-R-O-N-G. And then you can say whether or not you would like to have school next. I can't wait to go back. There we go. And this time we're going to write sincerely. Remember, it goes under our heading. Sincerely. And then sign your name. I'm going to go with Christy, because that's my real first name. Christy Waterman. All right, so that's something simple. This week you guys will write a letter to a friend, and you guys will talk about things that you like about a certain type of season. I forget which grade has which season, but one of you guys has fall, one has winter, one has spring, and one has summer. So that's writing. Next, we're going to take a look at grammar real quick. 3rd and 4th grade are working with contractions. So a contraction is when you take two words, squish them together, and whatever letters you don't use, you put an apostrophe. So we're going to look at a couple of examples. It is, and if you squish them together, it becomes the word it's. Except it's missing a letter. Can you tell which letter is missing from it's? It's got the I, it's got the T, and it's got the S, but it's missing this I here. So that is where we put in our apostrophe. An apostrophe is like a little floating comma. All right. Now we're going to try two more. We're going to try they are, and we're going to try you are. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can squish these words together into a contraction, and don't forget to put in the apostrophe where you remove the letters. They are becomes the word what? All right, did you pause it? Did you write it down? All right, they are becomes the word there, and this is spelled they, see there? What letter's missing? The R is missing, so we're going to put an apostrophe in right there. That's called a contraction. For you are, it's the word your, and that's Y-O-U, your. And again, the letter A is missing, so the A would have been right there. That's where we're going to put our apostrophe in. Okay? And that is how you do contractions. That should help you this week when you are working on your grammar. Okay, now 5th and 6th grade, you guys are working on linking verbs. Well, 6th grade is working on linking verbs this week, and 5th grade will work on linking verbs the following week. I'm going to reach over here real quick and I grab my teacher book because I have it all printed out in here for 5th and 6th grade. Okay, so we've got linking verbs right up here, and that's going to be on your page 39 in your book. So linking verbs are verbs that help us know when what comes after it is going to be an adjective that describes the subject. It's kind of a little complicated, but really right now, instead of explaining what they're for, we're just going to talk about what the verbs are. So the first 5 have to do with your senses. To feel with your fingers, to taste with your tongue, to look with your eyes, to smell with your nose, to sound with your ears, things that sound a certain way. All right, so this doesn't mean that you are actually doing the physical work of feeling, all right? That's an action verb. It becomes a linking verb when you say that this feels smooth, it feels slick, it feels hard. All right, it feels sticky on the back side. All right, so it's not that the paper is feeling something, it's that it feels a certain way. You might feel a certain way. You can feel your paper, and that is an action. Go ahead, feel your paper. You can actually do that. But if I say, I feel great, can you show me what that looks like? Not really. That is explaining how something is. So the thing about linking verbs is you can always put in a form of to be in place of the verb, and if it makes sense, then that word is a linking verb. So remember I just said this feels smooth. If I say this is smooth, well, that makes sense. So it's a linking verb. All right, now let's look at to taste. If I were to lick this, I might say it tastes plain. I didn't actually lick it. See, it's still dry. All right, but if I were to taste, I would say it tastes plain. It's not that the paper is tasting something. It's not doing any tasting. It's that it tastes a certain way. So if I replace the word taste with is, this paper is plain. Does that make sense? It does. So that makes it a linking verb. And so on it goes with to look. Something can look yellow. This looks yellow. The paper isn't looking at anything. You can look at things, but you can also look a certain way. You can look lovely today. If you look lovely today, it's not that something that you're looking at something in a lovely way. It's that you are lovely. And that's over here with to be. So linking verbs are a little bit difficult. That's why we want to go ahead and memorize them. And once we memorize them, then we can think, the other thing is, can we replace it with a form of to be? And these are the forms of to be. We've already been working on this in class with our helping verbs. So to be is, am, are, was, were, be, being, been. You guys remember that? Is, am, are, was, were, be, being, been. These are the forms of to be. So these 5 here have to do with your senses, and these 6 here are different, but they can also be replaced with the word is. Something appears. This appears square. Is it showing up out of nowhere and appearing? No, but you can do that. You can appear out of nowhere. If you just, sneak up on your mom or dad and go, boo, they go, wow, you appeared out of nowhere. That's an actual verb. But if somebody says, you appear sleepy today, you can replace the word appear with you are sleepy today. To become, to grow, to remain, to seem, to stay. So those are the verbs that 5th and 6th grade will be working on for the next couple of weeks. All right. All right, last but not least, I want to go ahead and work on some cursive with you guys. Let me put this back away. I think you guys will like this. This will be kind of fun. Hang on. Let me go get my paper. One moment. Okay, so we are going to work on a little thing. It looks like this, and it's in your email. It says, fall for blank, he never leaves. All right, so do you know what goes there? Jesus goes there. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. So what we're going to do is you are going to take some scrap paper, and before you start putting it on your printout, you can practice somewhere what you want it to look like. All right, you can do just print like this. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. All right, you can do print. You can do cursive. JESUS. All right. But the thing I want to focus on is how do we make it look pretty? So if you're doing it with pencil, you're going to go back through and make just the downstrokes nice and thick. Okay, downstrokes nice and thick. Here's your downstroke for this E. Here's a place where it's a downstroke. Here's a place where it's a downstroke. Okay, and this is a downstroke on the U. This is a downstroke over here. And this is going down this way, and this is going down this way on the S. I'm going to show you how to do that also with this one down here. Okay, we went up, and then we came down. So that is your downstroke right there. For E, it was this one right here. For S, it's down over here. Remember, we went up and then down. For the U, we came down here, so we're going to make that side thick. We're going to make this side thick. I'm going to make this side thick. All right, so now we've got some practice in. I'm going to bring it right over here. You can trace it if you want. See there? I'm going to show you guys a little something fancy, because I know you guys like to see the fancy stuff too. If you have a marker, now you don't have to use one of these kinds of markers. If you don't have this, that's fine. You saw how we did this with a pencil. We're going to do that. You can trace it with a pencil, get it right where you want it, and you can trace it. Can you see the image through there? You can trace it with a marker now and get it just how you want it, or you can start with pen. Now I'm going to show you guys something pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and use this, and this is my Tombow brush tip marker. We would have done this in class. So it has a fine point on it, and you use that fine point for going up, and then with the brush tip you press it to go down. See that? Go up and down, up and down. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to write the word Jesus in kind of a fancy cursive. I'm not going to go up this time. I'm just going to go straight down like this and around. I'm going to stop. I'm going to add my E like this. E, see there? And then I'm going to finish my S down this way by pressing down this way, press down again, and down like that. And it says Jesus. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to see what that looks like through the square, through the rectangle. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. So we're going to do that, but I'm going to use all these different colors. Okay, watch what it looks like. This is kind of fun, and you guys can practice these sorts of things in class next time, or you can do this with your own markers. Crayola markers will bend too. All right, so watch. We're going to go J with purple, E, brown, do brown, S, do green, U, and back to purple. You could do orange. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. And then of course you can color it in. If you don't want to print this out from the attachment that I sent, you can just draw it on here. I recommend doing the fine tip for your letters that say fall, F, A, L, and you can get kind of fun with them. See how I made one littler than the other one? Fall. For, when you write Jesus, he, oh, my dog hears somebody. He, sorry, never leaves. Do you guys get the pun? Because it's fall and there are leaves on the ground. He never leaves. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. All right, so since I used purple up there, I'm just gonna do brown to start off with. Let's see. I'm just gonna do print this time because some of you are printing very nicely. J. E. back to maroon. Fall for Jesus, he never leaves. And then you can draw some leaves in there if you want. Some leaves falling down. Some of you are probably really good artists out there and can draw some nice leaves. There's some there. I'm throwing some green leaves down here. All right, did you guys like this writing assignment, this cursive practice? Where else should I put one? I don't know where else I should put one. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, you can start out. This is called faux calligraphy. It means you draw thin lines and color them in when you make them thicker. And brush calligraphy is when you have a marker that you can press down with. So both are fun to do, and I hope you've enjoyed this. All right, thanks guys. I missed you today, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. All right, thanks.